Kelly Brees. We're back on A New View, and I'm back with my friend Chrystal. And you have to go watch part 1 because you shared your story with us, which is an incredible testimony. And I think it is one of the most courageous things to be able to sit here and tell your story because it is private. Oh, is it private? It is vulnerable. It is from the deepest parts of your soul. And for you being willing to share it, I think is just absolutely incredible. And I think that my prayer for this is that we don't know who's supposed to watch this, but God does.
Right.
And I can't wait to hear where this goes because it's going to reach someone who needs it so desperately bad. Let me give the recap. From 2 to 11, you were sexually abused by a person who should have been a secure, trusted family member.
Right.
And we're talking about what happened in those later years, in the teen years, and into marriage and the effects of this. Now, I asked you this question on part 1, and I want to ask this again because I think there are so many people out there who are dealing with a situation, whether it's a loss of a child, it's a chronic illness, they're the unanswered prayers. They're the tragedies that happen in the world. It's the abuse. And people are asking, why would a loving God not come and rescue me? And you're talking 9 years as a child. These were the most formative years of your life. And you have to ask the question, why would a loving God, He loved you. And we know that. Why did He not come and rescue you? And I want you to, now that you are so far on the other side of hope and love, I would love for you to talk to the person who is asking that question right now.
Yeah. It doesn't happen overnight. The healing process doesn't just happen. I kind of look at it like a child in school. You don't give them their end of the year exam on the first day of school. They have to go through tests. They have to go through weekly learning, and studying. So the healing process and learning how to navigate any kind of trauma doesn't just happen overnight. You don't just wake up and you get over it. God will meet you right where you are, but there's work on our part to get to the other side.
Yeah.
And so that's like that student. There's times where I'm not going to always ace the exam. I'm going to have to try it again, and where God is so good and so loving, there's also evil in this world. And we have to understand that there are just some things that will never make sense. We can ask all the questions, but the answers that we are looking for would never even be justifiable. We're never going to have a justified answer to why a child is abused, why a parent would lose a child, why cancer exists. There are things that we'll just never know on this side of heaven. But what I have come to find is that my need to know why doesn't really matter when I have immersed myself in His love and His grace and His mercy. That overrides my need to know why. I don't ask those questions anymore. I don't even care why. It happened. It doesn't define me. It's not who I am, but it is something that I went through and something that did happen to me. But God is still great and He's still good.
So the person who looks at you and she says, but you don't know what I endured. And they have taken on that trauma as their identity. And they don't know any different. And they don't know how to climb over that wall and find a new identity. How did you find your identity?
It was through, I would say, a few years, definitely years of being so vulnerable because I didn't know how to be vulnerable. I was scared.
What was the turning point? Do you remember anything specifically that just said, okay, I'm ready?
Yeah.
I can't do this by myself anymore.
Yeah. I went through a Bible study, and there was a question in the Bible study, you know, where you answer little questions, and it said, name your top 5 memories of your childhood. That, for whatever reason, that sparked something in me, because all of a sudden I didn't know what to write. I had labeled my whole childhood as, well, from the time I was 2 till I was 11, I was sexually molested on a weekly basis. That was my childhood. That was the label. So nothing else good or nothing else happened during that time. And so it was hard for me to come to 5 good things. But that was the moment for me that God was like, but that's not your whole childhood. Yeah. That's not what your whole childhood was. That was something that happened, but it wasn't everything.
Do you remember some of the things you wrote?
I wrote down
the good memories.
Yeah. I wrote down a trip that, you know, that I took with my family, to North Carolina. That was a good time. That was a good memory. And why wasn't that something that sparked immediately? So it was having to rethink and retrain my brain on what I focused on.
Yeah.
What I made my focus. But learning how to be vulnerable with God and allowing Him into those broken places and the places that I didn't love about myself. That was how I learned how to get over to the other side.
Right.
Learning how to trust Him. And that was a process, because I didn't trust and I didn't know how to be vulnerable. I was scared to be vulnerable. And so even with God, I wanted to pretend. I wanted to pretend like I had it all together, knowing that He knew everything about me. But it was when I learned how to say, God, I really don't have it all together.
I was just going to say, that was my next question to you. When a person is watching this and they're thinking to themselves, I am so broken. She's not broken. I'm broken. Look at her. She's so well put together. She's so beautifully spoken. She's so polished. Are you over it? Because somebody would look at you and go, she's obviously over it. She moved past it.
Yeah.
What would you say to that?
I would say you never really get over it. You're always growing. You're always learning. I don't have it all together, but I'm certainly not where I was. And having this self-awareness to say, there's always room to be better. And I think that was always my desire. I did not want this to become my identity. I did not want this to own me. I wanted to rise above it. I was not going to let this dictate my future. He did not get that kind of control over my life anymore.
Yes.
And so when I met God and He met me right where I was in the middle of saying, I don't have it together. I don't have it figured out. And God, I actually need you. Being vulnerable to be able to say that.
Yeah.
That's when it all changed.
So when you wake up in the morning now, what is your outlook now based on how far you've come? How do you look at life?
Positively. I look forward to spending my day with my best friend, my husband. It makes me emotional because I'm not.
And you're ridiculously cute together, by the way. Yeah. No, you have an energy about you as a couple. You have such a beautiful energy. It's contagious, but you see the result of all this written all over you. And it's pretty amazing to watch. So I say that because there's so many people who look at you and they think, I'll never get there. But they can.
Absolutely. I never thought I'd be here. I never thought that my husband and I would be where we are, that we have this amazing marriage where I can be completely transparent. I can be completely open. I can be beautifully me.
And you laugh.
And He loves me.
Yeah.
He loves me with the flaws. He loves me with the parts that still need work, because there's definitely those areas.
And that's the best kind of relationship. Yes. If you can have that in life, it doesn't get better than that.
Right.
So let's talk about forgiveness. Now, you told me that you kind of knew that your grandmother, who was in the home with you, that she suspected it.
Yeah.
How have you worked through that? I
think it went through seasons, seasons of questioning, You know, how could you know? And then once you knew, how could you stay? So I wrote her a letter, and when I was in my early 20s, and with every intention of mailing it to her. You know, I just needed her to know how that made me feel, her staying. I just needed to put it all out there. And I
find that interesting that you said I needed to understand why she stayed.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't necessarily say I needed to understand why she didn't make it end.
Right.
And that tells me that you had taken, to me, that says that you took full responsibility for making everything end.
Mm-hmm.
But you just wanted to know, why did you not walk?
Right.
Like I did.
Right.
And I think that's probably a very, very common situation with abusers and abusers' families, that people are terrified. They're terrified for themselves. They're also being manipulated. They're also being tricked and whatever, however else you want to put that.
Right.
But they're in the midst of all of it. Like you said, you felt like everybody had been manipulated. It's not just one person.
Right. Yeah.
So do you feel forgiveness in your heart? How did you get to a place where you could forgive?
When I wrote that letter with the intention of mailing it, it was freeing for me. I think I'd gotten about 6 pages in, and about midway through, I set my pen down and I was done. I had said everything I needed to say. And then all of a sudden, I didn't need to mail it. I didn't need to send it. It was this freeing moment of, I don't want to hurt her.
Mm-hmm.
And God, I may never understand why she stayed, but I all of a sudden had compassion for her, that there was clearly something in her too that had to have been broken.
Yes.
And so it made me have compassion for a woman who maybe had been afraid for herself for whatever reasons that I'll never know.
Mm-hmm.
But forgiving her was easy. Forgiving her was easy because I felt sorry for her.
I understand that. I understand. And you said you lost her a few years back.
I did.
And I know you told me that it was very important to you to honor her in the best possible way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And what a gift that God gave you to be able to sincerely and genuinely want to do that.
Yeah.
And so that you don't have regrets. So you were able to step away from that and understand that ended as it should end, with honor and with grace.
Yeah. And I loved her so much.
Yeah.
I loved her in spite of.
Yeah.
And she was funny. She was good. She was good to me. And when I look at family members, you know, when people say, well, they should have known or they should have done something, you know, and sometimes that may be true. Mm-hmm. But oftentimes people don't know. Mm-hmm. And they are being manipulated by the abuser too. And I didn't hold those people accountable for what he did. He alone was responsible for his actions. You know, so I couldn't be angry and hold, you know, I guess misplaced.
Sure. For 9 years, you were manipulated with words. With words. And you told me that as time went on, the words got even deeper. Mm-hmm. You wanted this. You consented to this.
Right.
You're part of this.
Yeah, that's what he said.
If anyone gets in trouble, you're in trouble too. Mm-hmm. Right?
Mm-hmm.
What do words mean to you now?
2 words. Absolutely nothing. I am very much show me. I'm not, don't tell me you're sorry, you know, show me. So, and my husband knows that.
I can imagine. Yeah.
So we had to,
and that's probably why you're such an entrepreneur and fearless in the business world, because you're not going to get run over.
Right. And not afraid.
Yes. Yeah.
Not afraid to take a chance, you know, but no, words don't really mean a lot. I'm all about actions. Show, do it. Walk it out.
Yeah.
You know.
Now, on the flip side, though, we hold the power of life and death in the tongue.
That's right.
I would imagine that when you speak a word, you better know it's right.
And true.
And true.
Yeah.
Because
That means so much.
I would say a person who has been manipulated by the use of words and abused with words, that it is crucial that what you say is what you mean.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine that is a huge thing. Tell me about your relationship with God in regards to your children. Once you've gone through something like this, did it create fear or did it create a fierce warrior in you as a mother?
Both. I would be lying if I didn't say that there were parts of me that were fearful. I never wanted them to experience what I had experienced. So it did make me very protective, probably a little overprotective, because I trusted no one. I knew too much. I knew the things that could happen, even what was right in front of people. However, it made me want to love them in a way that I felt like I was never loved. It made me want to be different. And I can say, though, that I didn't have that figured out because I started so early having children.
Sure.
That unfortunately, my children received some actions of mine from unhealed places of me. And we've talked about it now, but as they got older, and my healing began, I feel like I changed as a mom and changed how I responded to things. And hopefully, my kids have grace for the times maybe when I reacted out of an unhealed place.
Yeah. We've walked that walk, and I think it's such a phenomenon. I don't think people talk about this enough. And this is beyond a traumatic event like this, but we lived in a time where things were a bit looser when growing up, right?
Yeah.
We lived in a time where at 18, you were out the door and they were, good luck, love you, and it was just a very, very different time. And we were expected to just pick up the rein and let's go. Yeah. And so what is so fascinating to me is that we became the helicopter parents, right? And I did it. I remember my whole life was, on the back of a dirt bike or a bicycle or walking down the streets of my little hometown. And when my child was 7, 8, 9, 10, they mentioned riding a bike. Are you kidding me? No way. Not unless I'm with you,
Yes.
And it makes me realize that there's a phenomenon there that was the life that we had, and then the life that we turned around and gave to our children. And I had to find myself kind of backpedaling as they got a little bit older to release them a little bit and to let them soar a little bit. But I cannot imagine having that type of trauma in the background and then trying to bring that back when you're raising children and not let that be a part of their everyday life was my fear for them. So that in itself has to be such a relational thing with God to be able to hand over your children to God for Him to protect
and trust. Yeah. And trust Him. And had it not been for my personal experience of learning to trust Him and having faith in Him for my own walk, I don't know that I could have done it with my kids. But having experienced Him in such a deep way that I did, I think that's the only way that we survived.
Yeah, that's true. I think, the only way any of us did.
Yeah.
But we love our parents. They're amazing. But it was just a different world. It was a different world. I wouldn't change how, I love the 80s. I'm sorry, 80s, 90s. You're younger than me. But I have 2 questions for you, and we'll wrap this up because we could go for the next 2 hours and I have a million other questions, but I want to ask you 2 questions. Number 1, what would you say to an abuser?
That's hard. I would say be transparent and honest with yourself. Recognize that you have a problem and go get help. Before you ruin the life of someone, and not just someone, but all the people that it affects. And not even just it's the aftermath of years to come. You know, my children, my husband, you know, it affects all these relationships. Go get help. And there is a God that is able to help. Find yourself in a place of complete surrender to Him, and find yourself in a place where you can go get deliverance. Because your life and other lives are depending on you getting delivered from this awful, awful thing.
Deliverance. That's a word. It's a beautiful word, and it's a powerful word. And it can happen. My last question to you. If you could sit down with yourself as a little girl, what would you say to her now?
That's emotional. I would tell her she's going to be okay. Because there were so many years that I didn't know if I would be. And I would say, you're going to make it. You're going to have beautiful children that you love. And you're going to find the love of your life. And you're going to be able to love Him, and He's going to love you. And you're going to have this beautiful relationship with God. And ultimately, you're going to be okay. You're going to make it. Because the little girl didn't know that she would be. Yeah. That's a really loaded question.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
I love you.
Love you.